to make this video kind of quick because I need to do my homework while I feel like I just got off work. Kind of tired, so I want to get some homework done before I go to sleep. But I posted a video on my Facebook page the other day. I think it was yesterday. If I remember to, I'll include the link in the description box if I remember. But yeah, and I believe the title of it was like Hebrew Daughters or something like that. Not technically a religious video, but you can tell it was done by someone who is, you know, devoutly religious. But I'm a firm believer that just because someone is of a different faith than you does not mean that you can't learn from them. Does not mean that they're a sinner. Does not mean that, I mean, obviously everyone is a sinner, but it doesn't mean that they're going to hell just because they don't believe the same thing that you believe, and that you can absolutely be witnessed to by someone from a different faith. Personally, I consider myself non-denominational, and in my experience, a lot of the people that are non-denominational are people who nobody sat down and had a conversation with God. Nobody. So nobody, no one knows what the correct religion is. Nobody knows who God actually is and what He actually wants us to do. And I say that because I don't know about you guys, but when I was in elementary school, we used to sit down and play this game called telephone. And what happens is you sit in a little circle, and one kid makes up a story in their mind, and they whisper it to the person next to them. And that person whispers it to the next person, and that person whispers it to the next person. And by the time you get to the end of the circle, it's a completely different statement than what that first person uttered. And you always heard two sides to every story. And so I feel like a story, parables that have been passed down for so many years is nowhere near the story that was originally spoken or the story that was originally written. And anyone that's done even a smidgen of research or taken any religious course in college, you know that the Bible was translated, and you know that, you know, for years and years and years it wasn't even written down. You know, it was just people telling it to them. Around the time people actually started writing it down, you know, lots of people wrote it, and the message was. And it's not something that Jesus sat down and wrote himself. It's something that men wrote from what they thought that God was trying to tell them. And I just don't feel like it's a manuscript. I don't feel like it's a... Jeez. I'm trying to think how I can say this without sounding like a heathen. I don't churches. Because every church I go to, or the one church that I went to that was based on the word, a lot of churches you go to, people don't even really read the Bible for themselves. They go, they get moved by the pastor jumping up and down and screaming and in between every word, and they get swept away. They're being entertained, and they walk away and they live the same life. And I mean, that's not learning, that's not changing. You know, that's like going to a comedy show. Excuse me. And I just feel like the one church that I did go to that I felt like they really did go to the Bible, they were reading the Bible literally. And I don't feel like the Bible is a literal tool. I mean, God doesn't really want you to take a rod and beat your child with it. You know what I mean? God doesn't really want you to chop off your left hand if you do something bad with it. You know what I mean? It's not a literal tool. I mean, there's stories that are meant to illustrate to you what the right thing is to do. You know, it's not something that you're supposed to follow to the T. And there are also a lot of contradictory statements in there depending upon how you read them. And I think the reason that Christianity is divided into so many denominations, and the reason that there are so many religions, is because a lot of things are taken out of context. People are reading them for more than what they were. Cause I've been to a church where they said women couldn't wear pants because, of the verse in Deuteronomy that says, a woman's not supposed to wear anything pertaining to a man. So they feel like any pants, period, is for a man, and women shouldn't wear them. They should only wear skirts and dresses. Churches were, oh my God, I can't remember if it's Peter or Paul, but in that book it talks about, the adornment of braided hair and costly apparel, and saying that, well, that means you're not allowed to wear braids. Churches that are taking things a little, in my opinion, to the extreme. Things that I feel like you're spending too much time worrying about what color nail polish I'm wearing, and not enough time concerning how to walk my life, how to live correctly, upright. I'm getting way off topic here. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is that I was thinking about backgrounds, and it really made me think about it was something that my mother and I had spoken about before. I don't remember what class I took, but it was a conversation that we had in the class that really made me come home and almost cry, honestly, and really made me think how unfair it is. Because a lot of people say, oh my God, slavery was so long ago, and oh my God, you yourself were never a slave, and it doesn't really affect you. Like, you're blowing it out of proportion, and people say stuff like that, and oh yeah, racism still exists, but it's nothing like it was then, and which is true. We enjoy a lot of liberties that our ancestors could barely dream about. And our lives are certainly, in a lot of ways, more fulfilling than theirs could have ever been. But at the same token, it doesn't erase the past. You know what I mean? You can't say, well, your mom was raped. You weren't raped. What are you crying for? Why are you upset? That has nothing to do with you. I mean, that's, it's family. It's a part of you. And the part that bothers me, what I'm specifically talking about, is heritage. It bothers me that, I see Hispanic people, waving their Puerto Rican flags and, eating, specific, Cuban dishes and, speaking their language and, wearing their colors and, wow, okay, I'm just now realizing the video that I recorded a couple weeks ago that I never got to load, as I was editing it, I didn't realize that the camera had cut off, right, because, I tend to ramble, and so right when I'm getting to what the video was originally supposed to be about, it cut off, and I didn't know it. So I guess briefly what I was saying was that it kind of upsets me that I don't know where I'm from. Just being black, any relatively intelligent person would assume that their ancestors are from Africa. But Africa, the continent, has so many different countries, and the different countries and the different tribes that are there, they speak different languages, and they have different hair textures, and they eat different foods, and their clothing is different, their belief systems are different, their hierarchy, it's all different, they're totally different about what they believe in, and the way that they behave themselves, and the way that they treat one another, and the way that they interact, and their history is rich, but they're all different, and I don't know, which one reflects me, and what my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, did, what she believed in, it kind of angers me that, a person in a class with me knows that, his great-grandfather was a fisherman, and he can tell you, which shores he sailed on, and he can tell you, that his family came to America on this ship, or that, you know, somebody else can say, you know, that they're from Cuba and this is what their flag looks like and these are the dishes that they eat and these are the dances that they do. They know that. And I don't know that. You know, I don't know my great-grandmother's name. I don't know where she came from. You know, farthest I know back is, you know, my dad's grandma's from Perry, Florida. You know, and some of my mom's people may or may not be from South Carolina. That's not a history. You know, and it really bothers me that I don't really know who I am. And one goal of mine is, you know, when I get older and make a lot more money, hopefully, I'll be able to trace my roots, you know, and really find out, you know, what tribe I'm actually from, you know, and learn about it and the history. And I think that'd be something really awesome to do, to have as a goal. Because I don't know, I want to know who I am, you know what I mean? You can't really move forward until you know where you've been, you know, and that's something that's really important to me that I was thinking about. And I figured I'd share it with you guys, food for thought, you know. And for those of you who have done research, you know, or, you know, maybe your family kept a better track, or maybe your family wasn't as severed as some of them, you know, some families were able to stay together, you know, so maybe, you know, you do know more about your family's background, and I'd be really interested to hear, you know, any stories and any information that any of you guys have. That'd be awesome.